Good morning, all. Today I'd like to address the question of can Christians use EFT? In in my first book, EFT for Christians, published by Energy Psychology Press in April of 2015, I actually addressed this question in depth, but sometimes it is a good topic to just revisit. Um, Again, remember, EFT is not a substitute for any kind of medical or psychological advice. If you find that you need that kind of help, please do consult your own personal physician. I am not a therapist, nor do I dispense that kind of advice. So, as a Christian, what happens when we are in emotional pain? Um, I'm sure that there are many answers to this, and more than likely all of you have some kind of an opinion. But I see emotional pain as a fog or clouds that just separate us from God. It interferes with our relationship. It blocks us from communing with God. We are so wrapped up in how we feel physically and emotionally that we can't see anything else. I mean, we are just so bogged down with that kind of pain when we've had traumatic emotional events happen to us. I like sometimes to take this even a step further by saying that we set ourselves up as idols. There's no time for God. We're it. We're the center of our own universe when we are in emotional pain. So thereby, I think it's a direct violation of the first commandment where, God tells us not to have any other idols. Well, we're our own idol. And it just plain messes up that relationship with the Almighty Father. Why can we use EFT? There's multiple reasons, but in my opinion, the first one is EFT is a biophysiological process. It's that simple. It's all about the physiology. It's all about the brain structures. A lot of it is the amygdala, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, the thalamus, the pituitary. All of that, it lives in the midbrain in the back of our heads. Those organs in specific, it's all encapsulated within the brain structure itself, are all part of our stress response. And our stress response it just breaks down our organs. And by tapping, we signal those brain structures that we are safe, that what happened in the past really is in the past. Part of this has to do with the concept of time. Human beings ended up making time linear so that we can get to a train station, to get a train at a specific time, or to a doctor's appointment, or to work, or to church, where indeed Albert Einstein's research shows that time is waves. Everything is waves if you start talking to those in quantum physics. Waves and particles. So if time is waves, at times those waves, they kind of meet, which means the past is the present is the future, and the future is the past. So in our own subconscious, anything that's happened in the past, we still run that as our story today. It's just the way that our subconscious interprets it. It says that, oh goodness, that danger is still happening. It's still happening. You have to react. And therefore, anything that reminds us remotely in any kind of a sensory capacity of the past, it triggers us today. And we get that full fight or flight reaction to the past event today. And then we have no idea why we just acted the way we acted. Why did we just go off yelling our heads off about something we realized 5 minutes later was completely inconsequential? It's all about that stress reaction and how the organs and the subconscious interpret everything. We know today that 87% of our physical health is run by our emotional health. That's a huge statistic. That only leaves 13% for diet and exercise and supplements and whatever else there's going on. And frankly, I think it's kind of great because then, is the gym as important as we think it is? Well, it is, because we do need to keep our organs and our heart and our cardiovascular system healthy. But The emotional part is the biggest piece. I think the other statistic that's very, very similar to that is 86% of all doctor's visits are stress related. You and I know many, many people that have gone to the doctor for a very amount of symptoms. They'll go in, with this litany of what's wrong with them. And after a multitude of tests and thousands of dollars later, the doctor says, I don't know. I don't have a clue what's wrong. And that's the time when we as EFT practitioners begin to see those types of clients, because the doctor has no idea what's wrong. And we now realize that many times when you have those varied symptoms that don't really add up to be anything, it's the body telling you, I'm in distress. Help me do something with this. And much of the time, if we can get underneath, coach the client, teach them to tap for themselves, get down into whatever the trauma or the negative events of their life has been, we can disable many of those symptoms, and they just dissipate because haven't yet dropped into any type of a physical category. And then they can resume their life and get out there and do what God has intended for them to do all along. The next piece is that so many Christians get all wrapped up in, this is Chinese medicine and Chinese religion. EFT is based in some Eastern medicine, but it has absolutely nothing to do with Chinese religion. We're not promoting any, particular belief style. It's all, again, biophysiological. Sometimes I simply say Western science and research has now proven that the Chinese were right. But they've known for 5,000 years about meridians and acupuncture points. It's just true. We know it now. The meridians we know exist. They were found about 25 years ago by a North Korean gentleman, doctor. I think his name was Dr. Bong. The North Korean government, as I understand it, wouldn't let that research out for a very long time. Finally, it was released, or someone figured it out. And those meridian studies have been replicated in Japan. I think they've been replicated at UCLA or USC. They found them, and what I understand to happen is that they run up alongside our capillaries, where our lymph system runs. They all kind of run together. So when you start, when you go to a massage therapist and you get a massage, she's just pushing, the stuff that plugs up our lymph system along, cleans those out. I know that you're stimulating those acupuncture and meridian points, and that moves some of whatever's going on in there. Meridians are like microtubules, and so if they're tubules, there's some resonance and some stimulation vibration going on, and that's how we can often describe what happens in EFT. You set up that vibration. I talked about that in an earlier video where we're full of quartz crystals. Quartz crystals are what makes good Swiss watches run. And you start that vibration up, and it starts to heal, and it starts to signal those brain structures that your past events are really in the past and that they have nothing to do with you today. Just let God have them. Send those events and that pain back to the cross. Jesus carried it once for us. He did it once and for all. And there's no reason. We're told in Isaiah, by his stripes we are healed. Let him have that pain. Just give it back to him. He carried it, and he did it willingly. It's all his, and we belong to him. We also, some people just tell me, well, you can't use EFT. And can I use this, or the right and call, and can I use this modality, and can I use that modality, and can I use Reiki, and can I use that? All of those things you all have to figure out, on your own. I think that Apostle Paul talks about some of that in Romans 8, where he was discussing eating meat from idols and whether you can or you can't. And I think it comes down to that if you feel Reiki is bad for you, then don't use it. If you really and truly think that EFT is harmful, then don't use it. But God created all of it. He created our system, our body, to heal in a specific manner. He gave us that to use, and I believe you need to use it. We should be using it. We don't always have to, take a pill for pain. Perhaps a little tapping would take care of that. But again, it's up to you all what you do. We do kind of know now that stress is horrible. It eats away at all your organs. And that, to be honest, as frank as I can be as a nurse, it's going to eventually kill us. We have to get that stress under control. And I think tapping is one of the amazing ways that we can do it. It's a gift from God. I think every Christian should learn to tap, whether you tap deep, heavy stuff or you just use it for your everyday annoyances and aggravations just to settle you down. You just got an unexpected bill in the mail, then tap about it. Just settle down. God's going to give you a way out of that. He's going to help you figure out how you're going to pay it. Or your kids just came home from school, and here they are, they're failing that class. Settle down, because if you can't think straight, you're not going to be able to give your child appropriate advice. You're not going to be able to help your child through it. That child's looking to you to get them through it. So tap and let God help you through it so that you can make some adequate, decisions on how to live life in a more glorifying manner to Him. And that's why we're here. We're here to give God all the glory. Thank you for listening to this video. If you have any questions, if you have any specific things you'd like me to address, specific question, and if I can do that on a YouTube video, I'll be happy to do that, because if you're asking the question, more than likely someone else has already thought of it too. Again, I thank you for listening. God bless you. Our new book, EFT for Christians, Tapping in God's Joy, Peace and Joy, was just released a week or two ago on Amazon. You can pick up an autographed copy for $1 less than Amazon selling it if you want to go to my website, eftforchristians.com, and I'll even be happy to autograph it for you. God bless your day. Jesus is Savior. Let's let Him heal what we have that we need healed. All right. Goodbye for now.